Hey, how are you? It's a special story time today. I'm Jack. You're you. We're here. And today is what? It's Election Day. Well, if you're watching this on Tuesday, it's Election Day. If you're watching this on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or even next Monday, it's not Election Day. But on Tuesday, it's Election Day. It's a big day in the United States. Maybe you've been hearing adults talking about Trump and Biden and Democrats and Republicans and debates and campaigns and ballots, mail-in ballots and voting. Have you heard a lot of this? Or maybe you turn on the internet or the TV or the radio and you hear they're talking about all this stuff. It's confusing. It's confusing for adults. So I know it's extra confusing when you're a kid. But I have a book and it's a fun book, and it tries to explain on a simple level. So I think it's a pretty good book. So I thought we would share that today, and learn a little bit and have some laughs and some smiles. Does that sound okay? All right. So, but we have to look at what's on my shirt, and probably something special for the election day or the election week show. What do we have? Who's this? Who is that? It is Barack Obama. Oh, wow. He was the President of the United States from 2008 to 2016. Every 4 years, we have an election for the president. So that's what's happening this time, where we decide who will be the president for the next 4 years. So Barack Obama won 2 different elections. He won the election, was president for 4 years, and then won another election and was president for another 4 years. So that's something that can happen. Now, what's this great book that I've been talking about? It must have been written by a genius. Oh, here it is. So it's called Honest Abe's Guide to Presidential Elections. And who's this guy? Do you recognize this guy? This was a president of the United States. He has a beard and a big hat. Who's that? Who said it was a pilgrim? That's not a pilgrim. Who is it? It was a president of the United States. Always told the truth. No, not George Washington. Who else? No, it's not Barack Obama. Who is it? Who said it? That's right. Abe Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. Honest Abe. That's what they called him. Now, who wrote this book? Jack Silbert. That's me! I wrote the book! I wrote this book. And who drew these awesome pictures? Jim Paillot. He's a friend of mine. He is great. He draws the funniest pictures. Maybe, I don't know if you read those, the My Weird School book, all sorts of books he draws the pictures for. Funny, nice guy, funny guy. So we worked together on this book. And look, he drew that picture. The President of the United States.
Greetings! Hi there. I'm Abraham Lincoln. Don't you recognize me? I'm on the $5 bill. And I'm on the penny. I might be in your pocket right now.
I was the 16th president of the United States. Many people think I was one of the very best presidents of all time. I was elected president in 1860 and again in 1864, so I know a lot about elections. In this book, I'll tell you all about presidential elections. You'll learn who can run for president, who can vote, how we choose who runs, how voting works, how the winner is decided, everything in between. And I'll crack a few jokes along the way. I'm a pretty funny guy. Here's an example. He says, "What do you call a dance about voting?" A dance about voting. A ballot ballet. I'm also an honest guy. I always tell the truth. So you can trust what I tell you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have that nickname, Honest Abe. Are you ready? Then my vote is for turning the page. Now here, look, Jim drew this awesome tree that just shows that in the United States government we have the president, we also have judges and courts, and then we have Congress, the senators, and the representatives in Congress that are called the branches of government. Now, president is a very important job. It may be the most powerful person in the whole world. Ooh, that's a big job. Now, the United States is a democracy. There's another big word. What does that mean? It really just means that it's not just the rulers, the rich people who make all the decisions. The people who live here in the United States, we get to help decide. We choose who our leaders are. So we get a say in the government. That's called a democracy. And decisions are usually made by, get ready for another big word, majority. Majority. What is majority? Well, it's a big word, but it really just means, you know what it means? It means more than half. That's all it means, more than half. So let's say there's 10 of us, okay? Let's say it's me and 9 of you watching, and we're having a pizza party, okay? And we're deciding between pepperoni and mushrooms, okay? So each of us would vote. All right, how many want pepperoni? Raise your hand. I do. Now, how many want mushrooms? They're over here. I want mushrooms. And we would count up how many voted for each thing. And so we need a majority. So we have 10 people, and half of 10 is 5. Okay? So we need more than 5. So if 6 people voted for pepperoni, or 6 people voted for mushrooms, or maybe 7 people, as long as it's more than 5, that's a majority, and that would be the decision. And it says, I hope they decide soon. I'm hungry. Now, who gets to vote in the presidential election? There's a few different rules, but the biggest ones are you have to be a citizen, a U.S. citizen. What does that mean? Well, that means either that you were born here in the United States or in one of the parts of the world that the U.S. is in charge of. That would make you a citizen. Or, don't worry, you could still be a citizen. You could move here from another country, and then you have to live here for a while, and then you take a test if you want to. And if you pass the test, and if you know enough about the United States and its rules and laws, then you become a citizen. So that's pretty cool. Also, to vote in a presidential election, you have to be at least 18 years old. So that, nope, you are too young. Look, you're standing on a box. You're not that tall, and you're not 18, so you don't get, but it's all right. You got plenty of time in the future to vote. So you have to be at least 18. And there's a couple of other rules. We can skip that page. Now, what is a political party? Have you heard about this at home? Well, you don't have to bring a present, and there won't be any cake. We have 2 big political parties in this country, the Democrats and the Republicans. You probably maybe have heard these words at home. The people in these parties usually have the same ideas about some of the important things in the country, like education, energy, money, the military, the army, many different things. So now even though it's Democrats and Republicans, those aren't the only. There are other political parties, and if they had enough votes, then someone from a different political party could be president. But usually it ends up being a Democrat and a Republican who are the 2 people running for president, and then we choose between those 2 people. Now, look, Abe has a little party hat, and it's time for another joke. He says, why were the bird and the kitten arguing? Why was a bird and a kitten arguing? Because one was a repub-toucan and the other was a demo-cat. A repub-toucan and a demo-cat. Meow. Meow. Who wrote that bad? Oh, it was me. I'm sorry. I wrote that bad joke. I'm sorry. So right here, even in the book, it says, though most U.S. politicians and voters are either Democrats or Republicans, there are many other political parties in the United States, and many of these candidates have won like local elections and state elections. Even just there hasn't been one that's been the president yet. But even like George Washington, the first president, he was an independent. He was not in any political party. So let that be a lesson for you. All right.
So you want to be president?
The United States has often been called a place where any kid can grow up to be president. That's basically true. There are only 3 rules to be the president. You must be a natural-born citizen of the United States. So that you can't be somebody who moved here and took the test. You kind of had to be born as a citizen. Okay? Also, you have to be at least, not just 18. You gotta be old. You gotta be 35. At least 35 years old. Wow, that's old. That is old. And you've had to live in the United States for at least 14 years. So you can't be like a little baby born in the United States and then move to, where should we move? Egypt? Let's move to Egypt. And then come back on your 35th birthday and say, I want to be the president. No, you have to have lived here for 14 years. That's the rules. But that's it. That's it. The 3 rules. And you can run for president. You ready for another joke? Hopefully this one's better. Why did the kid think the president was 12 inches tall? Why did the kid think the president was 12 inches tall? He heard the president was a ruler. Was a ruler. The ruler is 12 inches tall. Bad joke. That's not important. That's not important. I like the ones with the pictures. Here's some more pictures. Vote for me! Vote for Honest Abe! Vote for Lincoln! So you'll see, you've probably seen around your town, Hoboken or Jersey City, wherever you are, California, you see signs and you see ads all over the place and on the radio and on the internet and on TV. Vote for me! Vote for me! Don't vote for him! That's called campaigning. Campaigning. Then they have debates. What's a debate? In the month before the presidential election, debates are held. And in a debate, the candidates, they take turns answering the same questions. And these debates are on the internet, the radio, they're on TV. So everyone who wants to have a chance to listen to the president, the 2 candidates, gets a chance. So here is Abe having a debate with this guy was shorter. His name was Stephen Douglas, and they had a lot of debates when they were running against, not for president, he was running for senator. And so the debates, you get to hear the candidates' opinions, and you say, oh, I agree with that person. Oh, but that's a good idea. I agree a little with that person. And you get to see which candidate you have more in common with. And then you're ready for Election Day. And so that was today, here, Tuesday. Election Day. Now, when Election Day is here, more than 100 million people vote in a presidential election. That's a lot of people. Now, in 4 years ago, and 4 years before that, and 4 years before that, etc., etc., most people would go to a polling place to vote. This was like schools, libraries, fire stations, buildings that are easy for everyone to get to. This is where you would go, and you go into a little booth and you vote. You close the curtain and you choose inside. I vote for this person. I vote for this person. That's usually how it works. But, like this year, there was a strange thing. There's been the coronavirus, the pandemic, and so they didn't think it was safe for people to go to the different polling places. They didn't want people to get more sick if a big crowd of people went to vote. So there's always been a different thing. And it says not everyone is able to go to a polling place on Election Day. Often these are people who are sick or injured or traveling from away from home, or if there's a pandemic, right? And so these people can fill in a special ballot, and then they could either mail them, put it in the mailbox, or we also had you could drop it off. You could go and walk, and they had a special mailbox that you could put your ballot in. So that's what a lot of people did this year. So all of these ballots are taken to a special place in each state, and then they have to count them. They have to count all the votes. And it says some counting is done by computer, and some by machine, and some just by people. Now, in each state, when the counting is done, they announce which candidate got the most votes. A majority of the votes. Now, usually, late at night on Election Day, we usually know who the president and the vice president, we usually know who they're going to be. But, and it says it right here, even though the news reports might say, we know who the new president is, they don't know it. It's not official. It's not official. Not yet. So let's turn the page and find out why it's not official. Now this is complicated, and I don't want to get you even more complicated. But look, Abe is wearing a shirt that says Electoral College. What does that mean? It's not like the colleges that people go to after high school with classes and football teams and big buildings. The Electoral College isn't even a place. It's hard to explain, but basically, first, everyone in the country who's able to vote and wants to vote, first they vote, and then, based on those voting results, there's 538 people who are members of this Electoral College, and then they vote based on what the people in each state decided. Okay? Complicated, but usually the result of the election is the same as the result of the electoral college. Da, 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 da. Now, usually it's pretty smooth. We know who won. That person wins. That person becomes the president, and it moves on. But it's not always easy. Sometimes there's complications. Andrew Jackson, 1824. Samuel J. Tilden in 1876. Grover Cleveland, 1888. Al Gore in 2000. These were years where it seemed like this person won, but actually the other person won. So it can happen. Look, here's poor Abe counting the ballots late into the night, but eventually they figure it out and they announce who the next president is. And then we have finally something called Inauguration Day. And that's a great day. It's a celebration for the new president. And the president gives a speech. Hello, my fellow Americans. Da, 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 da. And there's a parade. They walk down the street. Do, 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 do. Wave to the people. Hello, hello, hello. And then late at night they have a real party, not a political party, a real party with dancing and everything's fun. I skipped a joke. Abe says, why did the politician put on sneakers? Why did the politician put on sneakers? Because she was running for president. Alright, let's give Abe the last word. My second inauguration was on March 4th, 1865. I remember it like it was yesterday. What a rainy, windy day it was. Still, thousands of people stood in thick mud to hear me speak. The new dome on the Capitol building was just over a year old. The Civil War was nearly over. And the country would soon be united again. I was proud of our people, proud of the work we'd done, and I was proud to be the president. I hope you learned a lot in this book. It will all help when you're old enough to vote for president. Or, who knows, you might want to run for president. It's a good job, and you can trust me on that. I'm Honest Abe. That's the end of the book. I hope you liked it. There's another little picture of Abe on the back. I hope you love the pictures. They're so funny. And it's an interesting week because we find out who the president is for the next 4 years. So, have a great week. The weather's going to be nice and warm. Have fun. And I'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.